Hi and welcome. My name is Stephanie, and today I have a very gentle prenatal yoga practice to help you prepare for labor. We'll begin today in child's pose. Bring your big toes together and your knees as wide as your mat. Sink your hips down onto your heels and bring your arms out in front. You might choose to place a block under your forehead to lift your front body off the mat a bit and create a little bit more space for baby. You might also choose to double up your mat or place a blanket under the knees to protect them. Once you're comfortable, we'll hold here in child's pose for a full round of breath, just settling into today's practice. Inhale through your nose, before exhaling slowly, also through your nose. On your next inhale, push up your heels as you swing your hips around in a clockwise direction, coming forward onto your hands as you lift your gaze up to the sky. With your next exhale, continue to move in that clockwise direction as you sink your hips back onto your heels and come back to child's pose. As you inhale, continue moving in that clockwise direction, coming forward onto your hands and finding a gentle chest opener, before exhaling back onto your heels and into that child's pose. We'll take about 3 more hip circles here, moving in and out of child's pose with our breath. It's such a simple movement, but this is a great way to release any tension or pain you might be having in the hips and pelvic girdle. By the 3rd trimester, we have a lot of relaxin hormone flowing through our system and loosening the ligaments of the pelvis and hips, all of which allows baby to descend and exit through the birth canal. Since our joints are looser right now, the muscles and tissues around our hips are working overtime to stabilize our bodies, and they can easily get worn out, which is one reason many women suffer from hip pain throughout pregnancy. Taking gentle hip circles like this can help ease some of that discomfort. Let's switch directions now. On your next inhale, begin moving in a counterclockwise direction as you find that gentle heart opener before sinking back onto your heels. Again, move at your own pace here, working to match your movement with your breath, inhaling as you come forward, and exhaling as you sink backwards, moving your hips in a gentle and exaggerated counterclockwise motion. In addition to helping mama feel better, doing these hip circles will keep the muscles around the pelvis and hips loose enough that baby will be able to find an optimal position for birth. In contrast, if you have tight muscles around your hips or pelvic girdle, that can prevent or slow baby from moving downward. Practicing these hip circles regularly in your late 3rd trimester may even help encourage labor to start naturally. And this is a flow that you might revisit in early or even active labor to encourage baby to continue to descend through the birth canal. Let's take one more here, inhaling as we swing our hips around to the right, and as we exhale, we'll sink back onto our heels in child's pose. We'll hold here for one round of breath, just noticing how we feel. Perhaps our hips feel a little bit looser. Perhaps we've created a little bit of warmth in the body. On your next inhale, let's push up into a tabletop position. Bring your hands under your shoulders and your knees under your hips. As you exhale here, make sure that baby is drawn in towards your spine and not sinking down towards the floor. On your next inhale, step the right toes up to the front of the mat, finding your low lunge. We'll take a wide stance here, making sure our foot is on the outside of our hands. If you need to, use blocks to lift your front body a little bit higher off the ground and create a little bit more space for baby. When you've found a position that feels comfortable, take a deep inhale through the nose and a long exhale. We're going to hold this pose for a few breaths. With each inhale, think about lifting and lengthening your spine and continue to press firmly through your hands. Lunges are another great pose to revisit throughout pregnancy as a way to stretch the hip flexors and psoas. The psoas are especially important to keep from getting too tight throughout pregnancy as they cradle your uterus and act almost as a runway for baby to follow as they move down and out through the birth canal. If your psoas get too tight, they can slow baby's descent and impede both the start and progression of labor. Taking a low lunge like this is a great way to gently stretch your psoas throughout pregnancy. Let's hold here for one more round of breath, inhaling deeply through the nose as you imagine sending all of that yummy oxygen to any areas that might feel particularly tight. And as you exhale through the nose, imagine releasing any tension you're holding in the body and finding a bit more ease. On our next inhale, let's begin to walk our hands towards the long edge of our mat as we turn our toes so that they're parallel with the short edges of our mat. We're going to come into a wide-legged forward fold here. If you have blocks or you are using them for your low lunge, you might bring those with you, placing one under each hand. You can bend the knees as generously as you need to here, keeping your hands out in front of the toes rather than back in line with your heels. We don't want anyone getting dizzy here, so make sure your gaze is also out in front of your toes. On an inhale, we'll rise up and find our halfway lift before exhaling back down into our forward fold. On your next inhale, place your left palm in the center of your mat as you lift the right arm up to the sky, finding a gentle twist. As you exhale, release the right palm back down to the earth, moving slowly here. On your next inhale, lift the left arm up towards the sky, allowing your gaze to follow. And as you exhale, release the left palm back down towards the earth. Continue to flow here, inhaling the right arm up to the sky, finding that gentle twist, before exhaling the right arm back down to the earth and moving on to the other side. We'll move at our own pace here as we aim to do about 5 to 6 twists on each side. We want to make sure that our bellies and our babies are remaining square with our hips here, pointing down at our yoga mat. We're taking this gentle twist through the mid and upper back, not through the lower back or abdominals, since we don't want to compress baby. If you find that using one block isn't enough support or you are getting a little bit dizzy, you could double up your blocks here or even use a chair to lift yourself further off the ground. You should be feeling a nice stretch through the hamstrings here, as well as a nice release through the upper back. This is a great flow to address a lot of common pregnancy aches and pains, including sciatica, and can be safely practiced every day throughout your pregnancy. Let's do one more here on each side. Inhale your right arm up to the sky, finding your gentle twist, before exhaling back to that wide-legged forward fold. Inhale your left arm up, finding your final easy twist, before exhaling that hand back to the earth and your forward fold. On your next inhale, walk your hands across the long edge of your mat over towards your left foot. We're going to find low lunge on the other side now. Turn your toes so that they're pointed towards the short edge of your mat, and take a moment to settle into low lunge on the left side. Again, you want a wider stance here with your foot on the outside of your hands. If you have them, you might bring your blocks with you to create a bit more space here by lifting the front body off the ground. Once you've found a comfortable position that you can hold for a few breaths, you might close your eyes and return your attention to your breathing, inhaling and exhaling slowly through your nose. As you inhale, make sure to think about lifting and lengthening your spine, not allowing the upper body to collapse here. Whenever we practice yoga, we want to keep the body balanced by taking the same poses on both sides of the body. Any imbalances, such as having muscles that are tighter or looser, stronger or weaker on one side of the body, can lead to more aches and pains as the body tries to compensate for the weaker or tighter side. During pregnancy, these imbalances can also be bad for baby's positioning, as they can prevent baby from rotating or descending evenly through the pelvis. If you take any kind of bilateral movement, like a low or a high lunge during your labor, make sure to hold that pose for an equal number of contractions on each side. This gives baby an equal opportunity to rotate through your pelvis as they need to move down and out. We'll hold this pose for one more round of breath, inhaling deeply through the nose, before exhaling deeply also through the nose. On your next inhale, let's walk our hands and our blocks, if you have them, back towards the long edge of our mat, finding our wide-legged forward fold again. Rotate your toes so that they're parallel with the short edge of your mat, and as you exhale, you might allow your front body to sink a little bit deeper into this pose, perhaps noticing if you're able to get a little bit lower than last time. From here, begin to heel toe your feet in closer together, stopping when they're a little bit wider than hips width distance apart. You want to bring your toes to about a 45-degree angle. You might take a block or two and place it directly between your feet and under your hips. On an inhale, bring your hands to prayer at your chest, finding a halfway lift. And then as you exhale, sink the hips backwards as you slowly lower down into your garland pose or your yogi squat. Take a moment to get comfortable. You might need to move your feet in a little bit wider or a little bit closer together. As I said, you could consider placing a block or two under your hips here to feel supported and make this more of a restorative pose, or you can allow your hips to float freely in the air here. Keep your hands drawn together in prayer at your chest, with your elbows pressing against your inner thighs to keep your knees from folding in towards one another. You want to make sure that your spine is long. We are not allowing our upper back to round here or our chest to collapse. We want to make sure that there's plenty of space for baby and our breath. Once you've found a position that feels comfortable, you might close your eyes. We're going to hold here for a few breaths, taking a few rounds of belly breathing in our final posture of the day. As you inhale through the nose, imagine sending your breath down and into your belly and your uterus, filling up those spaces and coating any areas of soreness in a nice protective bubble of oxygen. As you exhale, release your breath slowly and completely. Garland pose or yogi squat is great to practice throughout pregnancy, as it helps to lengthen the pelvic floor, strengthen the muscles of the hips and lower back, and can address any prenatal posture issues that you may be suffering from. It is also known as a birthing squat, so unsurprisingly, this is another good one to take during labor. During labor, you might have your partner sit or stand behind you, supporting you under the arms and taking some of the weight off your feet and hips. Let's take one more full round of breath here, inhaling deeply through the nose, filling up the belly, before exhaling slowly, also through the nose. Slowly bring your hands down to the mat and begin to come out of this pose as we find our cross-legged seat. We're going to end today's class in Sukhasana or easy pose. You might keep your hands on your thighs, or perhaps bring both hands to rest on your belly, noticing how you and baby feel. We're going to end class with one final round of breath together. On the count of 3, 2, 1, breathe in deeply through the nose, making it our biggest inhale yet of the day, before exhaling audibly through the mouth, perhaps with a gentle sigh. That's it for today's quick practice. I hope you enjoyed it. As I mentioned, these poses are all safe to practice throughout pregnancy, but are especially great in your third trimester as labor draws closer. You can even revisit some or all of these poses during labor as a way to encourage baby to progress through the birth canal. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more prenatal yoga content just like this. Thank you for watching. I hope to see and practice with you again soon. Namaste.